The War is Over, the Stonehouse Series, Chapter 57. Lucifer knelt at the edge of hell's honeycombed demon filter grid. A new world stretched before him, and he smelled pleasure in the distance. With a taut anchor chain beside him and the burnt-out hole before him, Lucifer shifted his position and lay prostrate on the ground. With his left hand, he grasped the chain to keep from falling, and his head he eased down through hell's prison fortress ceiling. Somewhat upside down and looking backwards, he first examined the scene close to him. Most freed demons have their bitten feet grown back. The rest are in a restoration process. And what's that? The that he spotted was God's treasure in the background. A fence, a pit, and another fence. And then what? God's protected humans? Not for long. We'll take them for our sport. Nothing but a hungry dragon's play toys. What am I thinking? Feeling rather frisky, Lucifer entertained a playful imagination, which planted a pleasure picture in his mind. I'll bet transforming to a dragon would cause a person to get awfully hungry. Cautiously, slowly, Lucifer shuffled himself around while holding tightly to his chain, and he sniffed the air. He sniffed again, his nose twitching. Nothing. All is well. Just a gentle, warming airflow rising up now. Yes, all is well. Feet first, Lucifer eased his body over the edge and into hell. Suspended just below the ceiling, captured by imaginations of a glorious future which hung before him like a prized golden apple, Lucifer didn't notice what he had just slid by. The first phase mending restoration of the demon filter grid was taking place 1 foot above his head. Drawing in a deep breath, he exhaled slowly. Continuing his journey, arm over arm, link by link, descending down the chain, wrought iron sliding against his leather leggings, feeling cool against his thighs, legs wrapped around the chain. On the lava rock below him, his minions were still scrambling, breaking up the fire, creating an ember-laced smoky column rising upward. Descending further, Lucifer entered the chain's curving portion, and the weight of his growing body swung him slightly, turning to be facing Pug, the pit, and God's treasure in the distance. The chain's last link was created exceptionally large, and Pug had simply hooked the iron ring over a lower canine, and it slid down almost to the base. And then he closed his massive row of upper teeth over the iron and locked it in, leaving regular chain links protruding from his mouth. Now Pug's eyes were closed tight, and he was straining. Lucifer's changing transformation was causing him to grow quite heavy, and Pug focused his attention on holding Lucifer back from landing in the fire's burning coals. As Lucifer's change continued, a tail grew down and a wing bud sprouted. Skin changed to scales. And the man's face distorted to a snout. Fingers transformed to giant claws, and massive, rippling muscles burst out all over. But what his transformation caused to Pug was a chain pulling harder, more intensely every second. Pug swallowed hard and reopened his eyes slowly. Looking down his nose, he focused on individual links and then followed them upward at the lopsided pulling caused his head to turn slightly sideways, and his feet were sliding slowly towards the fire. Lucifer's tail felt the approaching heat, and he beat his wing buds frantically, forcing into present tense reality his final transformation. The bone and leathery wings grew quickly, pushing out tree-sized bones and massive sheets of leathery membrane like the sails of a giant warship. The mind of Lucifer was not keeping up with his rapid makeover into a winged and flying dragon. He cried out in fear at the thought of being burned alive in the fiery coals behind him. Ah! With Lucifer still clinging tightly to the chain, which Pug was fastened to, his wild flapping caused him to rise sharply upward, which jerked Pug violently forward and then threw Pug into a face-first dive that landed the subordinate demon beneath his master's airborne feet. Behind the pair, Lucifer's wing wash first caused the remaining coals to be fanned to a fervent red brightness. Next, as the massive demon dragon began to slowly settle down closer to the ground, the windstorm airflow caused the remaining fire to be blown away. Giant, billowing cinder clouds of sparking fire rose up behind him, and the majestic dragon landed gently on ground blown clean by his massive flapping wings. On the northwest corner of Jerusalem, outside the city walls, but inside a little cave, one faithful angel maintained his silent vigil. Uriah examined the chiseled stone walls, the ceiling and floor that surrounded him, and the silent form that he now guarded. Although even now the cave was little more than a spider hole, it had been cut out and expanded to be the grave of a wealthy man. Just before sundown 3 days ago, the tomb had been given by that rich man to be a resting place for the body of his Lord. The body Uriah now guarded belonged to his commander-in-chief, the same one who commissioned him to this assignment 34 years before. Among the instructions that Uriah received for this mission was one which required him to continually protect and serve until the appointed moment. At that time, and the declaring of the words, "I am," by his commander-in-chief, he had been ordered to withdraw and maintain a 1-mile perimeter, leaving Jesus alone at the center for a period of 18 hours. Doing nothing for 18 hours was the most difficult thing I have ever done. I could have cut the heart out of every wicked one among them in only minutes of their time. Instead, he obeyed his commander's instructions for the higher purpose of his Maker. Uriah allowed himself to illuminate the little cave with a brightness level to 4 to 5 candle power. The dim light seemed appropriate to silent waiting and remembrance, his master being in a place where he could be no help to him at all. Looking through the stones and earth surrounding him, Uriah observed the entire watch of human guards who were assigned to secure the tomb, that they were still standing in their places. Pitifully puny humans, you have absolutely no understanding of the power you are charged with holding back. You could not stop the rain from falling, and yet you think you can hold back the one who made the earth and the stars, the sky? Ignorant idiots. Uriah silently mocked their foolishness, while at the same time he understood the soldiers also served the purpose of witnesses to an undisturbed and sealed tomb. Looking through the ceiling and adjusting his focus to the sky above, Uriah studied a primary constellation and its relationship to the rotation of the earth. It was 87 minutes to sunrise.